Welcome to the Mom Keys to Mental Peace podcast. I am your host and sister in Christ, Tari Kaya Allen Butler. This is a podcast for millennial moms who struggle with limiting beliefs and want to learn how to make over their mindsets and level up their lifestyle in faith, family, finances, and fitness. Tap in each week for the Mom Keys to Mental Peace podcast, where you will learn major keys to stop coming up short on your goals and start leveling up for the type of lifestyle you desire God's way. Ready to level up? Let's do it. All right, so welcome to all of our new listeners and welcome back to all of our OGs who tune in weekly. I definitely appreciate you all. Just some quick announcements before we hop into the show. We are 1 week away from the Mommy Management Masterclass. So if you have not signed up for that, be sure to go ahead. Again, spots are limited because I want to be able to give you all that one-on-one customized advice and help on how you can plan out your month. We'll be talking about planning out your finances for the month, your monthly plan for you and your family. And just how to balance self-care and care for your families without feeling overwhelmed, without feeling like you're losing yourself in motherhood. So be sure that you are signed up for that. All right, now let's hop into today's talk. I'm so excited, y'all. I feel full, rejuvenated, refueled because I was able to have a self-care trip this weekend. So we're going to get into story time about my whole experience with that. And hopefully some things that I share will give you some ideas or some hints or something that you can do to start to show up for yourself intentionally and practice self-care. Now, before we get into that, I feel like we need to redefine what self-care looks like specifically for you, okay? I recently did a poll where I asked moms, what is your biggest struggle when it comes to practicing self-care and caring for your families? And 100% of the answers were that they either don't have enough time to practice self-care or that they don't have enough energy to even do self-care for themselves after they've done everything for everybody else. So I feel like we need to redefine what self-care looks like for us, okay? What self-care looks like for one person may not be what self-care looks like for you. For example, going to the nail salon is not self-care to me, period, okay? It's not relaxing. I don't feel at peace or at ease. I'm actually a little tense and on edge. I feel like I'm micromanaging like what they're doing with my nails. It's just not a pleasant experience for me. But for somebody, going to the nail salon is like a spa day. They feel refueled and rejuvenated, especially after they get their new fresh set of nails. Like, that's self-care to some people. But on the flip side, to me, self-care is waking up 1 to 2 hours before my kids and just enjoying a moment of silence without them there. But for somebody else, they may not be a morning person. So waking up early isn't self-care for them, right? So this brings me back to what I said. We have to redefine what self-care looks like for us. You're saying that you don't have time for self-care. Well, what are you visualizing as self-care that you don't have time for? Right? Are you thinking about going on this excursion trip or traveling overseas and you're like, oh, I don't have time to do that? Well, then you might need to redefine what self-care looks like and how it fits your current lifestyle or your current season of life, right? Maybe it is something as simple as quiet time alone or getting your nails done or your hair done or trying a new restaurant, right? We just have to figure out what self-care looks like for you. Now, I saw a meme today that I don't know if it's the algorithm or what, but it fit perfectly to my experience this weekend and what I wanted to talk to you all about today. So the meme said, travel once a month or every other month this year. Road trips, quick 1 to 3 day trips, or whatever you can do. Just get away and create memories, experience something different. whether it's solo, as a couple, with friends, or with your family. All of these trips are needed to balance peace and adventure. I could not relate to that more. Like the trip that I went on this weekend, it was a one-day trip or overnight trip, and then I came back. But when I say it was so fueling and rejuvenating for me, like I highly recommend that you do this. And it even said it don't gotta be every month. Some of y'all will make an excuse, oh, I don't got time to do that every month. You can do it every other month, right? It doesn't have to be every month. It doesn't have to be expensive. It really doesn't even have to be a trip, right? It can be something like trying a new restaurant. Maybe you saw something on TikTok or Instagram while you're scrolling. Maybe you can actually go and try that new restaurant. Maybe you can go to a free local event. I know in North Carolina and Raleigh, they have something on every first Friday of the month. And it's just a list of things that are free for that first Friday. It's like art galleries or certain restaurants that have specials or certain things like that going on. I know in the community that I live in, they're trying to do more stuff like downtown, where they'll have like free events where it's like live music or vendors and stuff like that. You can go to concerts. I know that's my big thing. If you are into like music and just chilling and vibing to your favorite artists, you can plan a trip there. Comedy shows. I love going to comedy shows. There's always something going on. Find a local comedy club or your favorite comedian that you follow. Look up and see when they're going on tour, when you can go and watch them. You can try walking a new trail, try shopping somewhere new. Like, it doesn't have to be a trip. It doesn't have to be a trip, y'all. I think we need to, like I said, get that out of our minds and trying to fit our self-care to what we see. What works for you, sis? What works for you? What can you show up for you? All right, so that's just a few ideas for you when it comes to self-care. It feels good to have something to look forward to in the month, right? Knowing that you have a trip or an event or something coming up that month, it really helps to push through those hard days, y'all. I promise you. You could be having a rough day at work or just feeling overwhelmed at home, and then you just have that moment when you remember, just 5 more days and I'll be on my trip. Just 5 more days and I'll have this event to go to. So it really helps to push through those hard days. And it brings a sense of like excitement and joy and hope. Just something to look forward to, right? When you're planning your self-care trips or outings, release, this is to my mamas, you need to release your feelings of guilt and fear when you go out. Your family will be okay without you. Trust and believe they will be fine without you there, okay? You are not the only one who can or has to take care of your children. Allow your village to help and pitch in. Again, there's no award for being the mom of the year that shows up and does everything for their kids and never accepts help and doesn't need anybody to do anything. There's no award for that, okay? So allow your village to help you. Schedule your babysitters ahead of time. I'm real big on this, okay? Schedule your babysitters ahead of time. That way everybody's on one accord. Everybody knows what to expect. This is what's coming up. And you're more likely able to actually go through with what you have planned. All right? Try to set up things to function smoothly while you are gone. So, yes, your family will be fine without you there, but maybe you need to, set up a few things in place so that things run a little bit smoother while you're not there. Certain things like picking out clothes ahead of time, making sure laundry's done if they need that. Make sure that you have some groceries and snacks and stuff stocked at the house. If anybody needs some money, make sure you have that there. Let them know your expectations for the house, okay, as far as things being cleaned and straightened up. And let them know your expectations for their behavior. While you're gone, you expect your kids to behave XYZ, to show respect to the sitter, all these things like that. Also, feel free to just call and check in while you're on your trip. So just because you're gone doesn't mean, you can't talk to them. But I will say, I'm not that mom that every hour on the hour I'm calling and checking in on my kids. It'll be maybe at the beginning of the day or the end of the day where I'll just kind of do a general call and check in because I trust that my children are safe. Now, if there's an emergency, of course, they can reach out to me, but I'm not that mom that feels like I have to constantly call and check in on my kids. Like, we good. We good. I will talk to you all when I talk to you all. And be sure to have a clear schedule, like of when you're leaving and when you're coming back, so that they know like how many days to expect you gone and when they can look forward to you coming back. All right. All right. So let's get into this story time for my trip. So before the trip, so first off, my trip is I went to Richmond, Virginia, to the Know For Sure live podcast show. And if you are not tuned into Know For Sure podcast with B. Simone and Megan Ashley, from podcast to podcast, I highly recommend that you check out their podcast if you have not. I just love everything about their podcast. I love their authenticity. I love how vulnerable they are. It's always a good laugh. Like B. Simone, yes, she's a comedian, but she's like naturally funny. And then Megan Ashley is forever dropping gems about relationships, about faith, wisdom, all these types of things. So it's just a good, well-rounded podcast that I started listening to May of this year, and I'm hooked. I'm definitely a chain gang member. If you know, then you know. So I went to Richmond, Virginia, and I live in North Carolina, so that's about 3 hours away from me. Not a bad drive at all. I'm originally from D.C., so I'm used to driving like 6 hours to D.C. So 3 hours to Richmond, I was like, I'm good. I can do that. So when they posted the tickets, I got my tickets all the way back in July. But the event was in September. So when I saw that they announced the tickets in July, I was on it. And I used the funds from my business account to purchase my tickets. So I feel like, this was a good space for me. Yes, it was self-care, but as a fellow podcaster, I was going to see like what are some possibilities that, I could do with my platform, seeing how they set things up, how they, maneuvered and did things with their podcast, just to kind of get some business ideas. So I used my business account to purchase my ticket. And I also got insurance on my tickets just in case I couldn't make it. Because like I said, I got them in July, so you never know what could happen. But me having that insurance on my ticket for my refund, it made me feel a little more at ease. I booked my hotel room within the radius of the venue, and I did that through booking.com, where you can book the room now and then pay later. So like I said, I had all this set up in July. My ticket, my hotel book, and I scheduled my babysitter ahead of time. So I let my babysitter know, hey, this is something I'm trying to do in September on this date. I'll need you to keep the kids, XYZ. Keep in mind, like I said, this conversation is in July. So this raised my chances of being able to actually go and show up for that event. I made sure that my hair was done. I had an idea of my outfit picked out. Filled up my gas tank. I had got some new tires for travel because it was some issues with my air pressure. And I didn't want no car issues on that road heading up there, especially by myself. So I got some new tires and just everything that I needed for my overnight stay. Now, the actual day of the trip, since everybody knows, hey, today is the day that mom is leaving. This is what's going on. My husband was able to get the kids ready that morning. So my oldest son had a football game, and my husband dropped off our 6 and 2-year-old with our babysitter. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to get anybody ready. I didn't have to drop anybody off. These expectations were already in place because we have already talked about it. Everybody knew what to expect for that day. So also on that day, I was invited to be a guest on a fellow podcast. So I did my recording that morning once everybody left. So it was like really like a full chill self-care day for me. Because speaking on my podcast or any podcast, any speaking in general, I feel like it's not work to me. Like I enjoy it. I have so much fun. So I got to do that. Then I had to stop at Marshall's to get me a new shirt because... Listen, this is a tip to be prepared for any mishaps that may happen in your plans before a trip, okay? Don't panic. Just go with the flow and make the necessary adjustments. So the mishap here is that my oldest son, bless his heart, he was being very helpful and trying to clean up and throw trash away. But he ended up throwing away my Marshall's bag with my brand new t-shirt in there. So I did have a mini panic attack for a moment, like, oh, that's going to throw me off. Oh, I don't feel like stopping again. Like, I tried to be ahead of the game, but now this is putting me back. But you know what? I had to accept that serenity prayer. What is it? Accept the things that you can change and release the things that you can't. Like, I couldn't. There was nothing I could do about it. It was already in the dump, like the dumpster, not the house trash can, the dumpster. So that shirt is gone. It is gone in the nearest dumpster. So I just had to make the necessary adjustments. But I also realized too, sometimes I feel like this unspoken energy of like rushing, like, oh, I got to hurry up and get this, or I got to hurry up and get on the road. I got to hurry up. And a lot of times, you know, over this weekend, I had to remind myself to resist the urge to rush. Like, what am I rushing for? I don't have to do anything at a specific time. There's nobody that I have to serve or do something for. Like, this is for me. Just relax. Just calm down and slow down. I don't have to rush to be anywhere. So that kind of took the weight and pressure off my shoulders, feeling like I gotta go and be on this unspoken schedule. So in the car, y'all, if you have seen me on Instagram y'all know that car concerts are my thing, okay? Especially on a road trip. So I had my Spotify plugged up, listening to some new albums. I listened to Diddy's new album and Rod Wave's new album, and they were okay. I realized a lot of new songs, like, I don't feel it right off the bat. Maybe I have to listen a few times, but I definitely had my oldies but goodies, my familiar jams that I could jam to. So it was just an entire vibe in the car for me, being able to sing to the top of my lungs, no kids in the back asking me questions, not having to adjust the volume and turn it down to talk to people and hear what people are saying. Like, it was a complete vibe, okay? Then once I got to Virginia, I checked into my hotel room. I just chilled, relaxed in my room, laid out my outfit. I found a movie to watch on my laptop, listened to music some more while I was getting ready, and just overall embracing the fact that I was not needed by anybody. I didn't have to do anything for anybody else in that moment. Everything that I was doing was to serve me. And as a mom, as a wife, think about how rare that is, that you're going through the day and all you have to do is worry about yourself. That's so rare. So I really was embracing that fact, like, I just got to worry about me. Now, there was another mishap that happened on my trip. But again, this is how we have to go with the flow, because things are going to come up. So I got my shower and stuff, and the water would not turn off in my hotel room. The knob or something was loose or broke or whatever, so I had to let the people downstairs know. But they moved me to a new room, which was actually an upgraded room for what I had. So you know how they say God works all things out for the good of those who love the Lord? Yes, I was not complaining about that. And it was just a few things. It was just me, so it wasn't much, to move to another room. So I was appreciative of that. Now, on the way to the concert, if you have been in like bigger cities like New York, DC, I would even say like Raleigh, North Carolina, any type of downtown city life, parking is like the most irritating thing to me. It's not just pulling up in a parking lot and going into the building. You got to find a parking garage, or you got to park on the side of the road, and you got to pay and all this extra stuff. So I ended up finding a parking garage, and it was for free. Thank the Lord. And since I was by myself, I felt a little uneasy about walking to the venue by myself. So I was on the phone with my husband the whole time as I walked up until I got there. So I went inside the venue, and y'all, it was a whole vibe in there. So they had different bars set up for drinks. I got me a nice rum punch. And I will say, anything with an event that Black women are going to be at, I'm just like in awe. like a kid in the candy store. I just love seeing Black women express themselves with their styles, right? You're going to see so many different hairstyles, a lot of different outfit choices. Like, it's just a whole vibe when a whole group of Black women get together. I'm just here for it. I had really good seats. I was on the second row, so I was able to see really, really good and feel connected to them. So I was excited about that. And all of our chairs had a complimentary white rose on each seat. So I thought that was a nice, special, personal touch and a nice little detail that they had. So they had a host come out and someone who did poetry. Now, these two ladies are friends of theirs that, you know, travel with them and have been guests on the podcast. So I've heard of them before. They weren't like brand new people, but they kind of helped open up the show. And then after that, Megan Ashley and B. Simone came out. Now, I will say I was a little nervous about how the show was going to go because they had just released an episode the week before this where the energy was really tense and they were pretty much sharing the struggles that they were facing in their friendship at the moment. And what I got from the episode was like, we not cool. Like, we're business partners, but we're not friends right now. So I was a little nervous about the energy. Like, are they going to cancel? Are they going to come out here being like standoffish and weird? But y'all, they immediately addressed the issue and like the vibe was, it was just so powerful in there the whole time. It was very intimate. The conversations that they had. And I feel like this is one of the only places where we all laughed, we cried, we danced, twerked a little bit, we prayed, we talked about the Bible, and just had fun. All in this one space. All of those things happened. So I was very grateful for that. Now I want to share some key points that I got from the podcast, the live show. And some of these key points, they might be some podcast episodes in the future because it was just gems dropping left and right at this event. So one key point that I got, this probably was like the main point. When this was said, everybody's edges was snatched. Everybody was like, whoo, child, girl. But the quote was that you're not depressed, you're disobedient. I'll just leave that there for you to ponder on. Another key point that they shared is that two people are better than one. This is kind of them addressing their friendship and them falling out and stuff and how they're better as a unit together than being separate. Another key point is that God's ways and thoughts are higher than our ways and thoughts. We don't know everything. We don't know the outcome of everything. Only God does. Another point is that we need to consider God in everything that we do. God, what do you think about this relationship? What do you think about this new job? What do you think about me moving? What do you think about me purchasing this new house? Just considering God in every decision that you make. We are all in different stages with our walk and our journey with God, and do not judge anybody. That was a good point. Another point is don't water God down. Be bold when you talk about him. So Megan Ashley had made a point that every time she makes a comment or something about God or refers to God, she'll find herself apologizing like, I'm sorry, or I don't mean to be too churchy. And she was like, you know what? I'm going to stop doing that. If I have something to say about God or how God relates to the situation, I'm going to start to speak on it boldly. And that's something that I can definitely relate to, especially certain groups or people that I'm around. I may not want to be, that one or looked at as a Bible thumper, or she always talking about God. But I'm with Megan Ashley. Like, hey, if it relates to him or I can connect it to him with sharing a point, then I'm going to do that unapologetically. So I'm here for that. Another point is how to navigate conflict with friendships. They touched on that and gave some really, really good points. And how to not be afraid of hard conversations. So definitely was here for it. It was a great experience overall. Definitely something I will cherish in my heart forever. I felt like I was present. I was involved. I had so much fun. Like I said, I cried, laughed, twerked, prayed, everything. So I'm here for it. After the show, my self-care continued. So near my hotel, there was a Fridays. And I'm all for, eating by myself. I don't mind doing that. But I prefer, like to sit at a bar or something. So I went to the bar at Fridays, got me another rum punch. That was my drink of the evening. And a quick little appetizer. Enjoyed that. Came back to my hotel room. Finished my movie. And just enjoyed my alone time. But I will say, there was a point where I started to feel a little bored, right? And just had a moment of gratitude and appreciation for the noise and movement at home. I never thought that I would find myself saying this. But I just kind of had gratitude for noise and movement and jumping around and laughter and things in my home. Just the sounds that fill my home with my children and my family. I was able to appreciate that as I sat in silence and darkness by myself in my hotel room. So I was definitely, like missing my family and kind of ready to come back. Now that next day I woke up, took my shower, packed my things up, and I'm all for brunch, okay? Anytime I go somewhere, I'm looking for a brunch spot. I don't care where I'm at. I'm looking for a brunch spot. So I found a nice spot to go to for breakfast. And I ate outside on the patio by myself. The weather was so beautiful. And not even like sunny, bright day. Because you could tell it was about to rain. But it was just giving like fall morning vibes. Like it was windy. It was cool but warm at the same time. Just all the vibes and feels. So I loved it out there. And I also had to remind myself again with this to resist the urge of feeling like I got to hurry up and order and hurry up and get on the road. Like, nope, I'm just going to chill. I'm going to eat my food. I'll talk to my husband on the phone a little bit. Just vibes, just being present, just calming energy. Like, all of that was refueling for me. Very simple. And of course, I had another car concert on the way back home. And I was so excited to see my family. My kids were happy to see me. My husband was happy. And I felt, energized and ready to take on the rest of the day and this week because I feel refueled. Okay? So I hope that something that I shared today kind of sparked some ideas for you of, what your self-care trip or event or outing can look like for you. So, reflection. Here's your action step. What will your next self-care trip or event be? When will you do it? And go ahead and plan it out now. Today, sis. Today. All right? So thank you all for tuning in with me today. I appreciate you. If you are not, please follow me on both Instagram and Facebook. I would love to have you join the Mom Keys to Mental Peace community, where I share out weekly blogs and resources that I don't typically share on social media. If you have been enjoying this podcast, be sure to subscribe on whichever platform you listen to, as well as my YouTube channel where you can catch the live videos of the podcast. And be sure to rate, share, and leave a review. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.